this video, we're going to talk about what happens when CGC damages one of your books and then admits to it, because that's what just happened to me. But before we hop into it, I have something I've been keeping from you guys for about 6 months now, and stay tuned to the end of the video for all the details. Run the clip. Introducing the Bry's Comics Trading Pack, your chance to find a golden ticket redeemable for mega grails like Amazing Fantasy 15 valued at $14,000, a beautiful X-Men #1 and a CGC 4.5, Daredevil #1, Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men #1, Journey into Mystery 83, Amazing Spider-Man #1, Avengers #1, Fantastic Four #5, Marvel Spotlight #5, and 10 golden tickets redeemable for a $500 gift card at bryscomics.com. Chase some of the rarest Marvel variants to date from renowned artists like In-Hyuk Lee on One World Under Doom #1, Sao Wee on New Champions #1, Ivan Tao on Deadpool Wolverine #1, David Mack on Ultimate Wolverine #1, and my personal favorite by the illustrious In-Hyuk Lee, Red Hulk #1. Every single book has a premium bag and board. Every single book has an individually numbered COA. There's 5 different variants for each piece of art. Each one has a trade dress limited to 1,500, a virgin limited to 1,000, and 3 special variants limited to 300 copies, 175 copies, and 26 copies respectively. Don't wait for the aftermarket and pay an inflated price. Secure your pre-sale pack today at bryscomics.com for only $64.99. So once again, stay tuned to the end of the video. We're going to talk about all the details of this pack and everything that went into it. But let's talk about this unfortunate email that I got here from CGC. Hello, Brian. We have unfortunate news regarding your Spider-Gwen Annual #1 Grassetti Foil Edition. Unfortunately, the book was damaged while in process, causing its grade to drop from a 9.8 to an 8.0. First thing you wonder is, like, what happened? But in all honesty, if you took a 9.8 book and you dropped it from about 6 inches, you could damage the book to an 8.0. So maybe it got dropped, maybe it slid off a desk, maybe it got crushed in the encapsulation machine. We don't know, but it says, we strive to take the utmost care of every collectible but want to recognize the mistake in this situation. So this is actually a really encouraging and important point, is they could have just encapsulated it as an 8.0 and sent me an 8.0 and said, that's the way we got it. But no, they admitted that they damaged it. So to me, that's encouraging. And I don't know the exact situation of what happened, but if somebody were to drop it, they could easily just be like, oh, nope, that didn't happen. But they're going through all of this trouble to just straight up admit to it, which I think is encouraging. Important point I forgot to mention right here is CGC does have cameras rolling at all times for all employees at all stages of the process for your books. So it doesn't hurt to take videos and pictures of your books before you send it in, because if you had a really high value thing and it came back much lower with a huge defect and you had pictures before, they can review the tapes and you could have a case for yourself and see if something happened during the process, which is probably why CGC employees wouldn't even lie about it. They'd just admit and say, whoops, I made a mistake, because you wouldn't want it to come back on you later if the submitter made a big stink and they reviewed the tapes and saw that you lied. It says, we sincerely apologize and want to assure you that we'll quickly rectify the situation with adequate compensation. Our team has researched the graded value of the book using GP analysis and found this book's fair market value is $67 with a $70 refund check to your CGC account, in addition to a refund of the original grading fees, work for us to buy this damaged book back. So this is an important point, is I declared the value of this book at $150, and they didn't pay me the $150 that I declared the value at. They went and researched the price and are giving me $70. Now, I'm happy with $70 because I sell this book for $50 on my website. You can add it to any order for $50. I sell it on Whatnot for $50. And so I'm happy with the $70. The reason that I declare it higher than it's actually worth is because with a modern submission, any value up to $400, it's the same price to get it graded. So in my opinion, you may as well put a way higher value on it, just in case your modern book pops off. Maybe it's a spec book that hits, and when you submitted it, it was worth $100, but now it's worth $400. So you might as well just declare it as $400. And where it gets tricky is with the higher tiers. With the unlimited tier, they charge you 4% to grade the book of the declared value, what you declare it at. But if it's worth $100,000 and you declare it at $50,000 and they damage it, they're only going to pay you your declared value. At least that's what they did to me way early on. About 4 or 5 years ago, I submitted a book and I declared the value too low. And I declared it at like $50. They damaged the book. I got an email like this. And it actually only went from like a 9.8 to a 9.6, which was also very encouraging. You know, that they admitted that they damaged it from a 9.8 to a 9.6. And I declared it at 50. And so that's all they were willing to pay me for it, even though GPA said that it was worth more. So in my experience, they look up the value when it's in their favor, but you can safeguard yourself against that by just declaring the accurate value for that. You know, it's a risky run. If you have a very expensive book and you try to declare it for less, so you pay less in grading, you're taking the risk that if it's damaged and it's only insured at what you declare it at. So just a little food for thought there. My takeaway from this is, in all my years of doing this as a dealer, you know, I've submitted thousands upon thousands upon thousands of books. And most people that submit casually to CGC never have an email like this. And I've had 2. And so in my opinion, it's obviously unfortunate, but I'm pleased with the way they handle it. That first one was the exception, but that was my fault. I should have declared it the right one. But I'm happy with the way they handled this one. And I think overall, the sentiment from the community is that they are fair in their resolution process. Now, I have heard horror stories. I'm not saying that there aren't horror stories out there, but I don't think that the takeaway from this should be, and I can hear it now in the comments, somebody saying, see, this is why I've never submitted a book to CGC. It's like, okay, well, if, you know, 2 out of thousands upon thousands is the reason you're never going to do it, it's your life, you know, your takeaway, do whatever you want. But I don't think that that's a reasonable response to this. I think the reasonable response is, wow, they seem like a pretty fair company. But I will say that it's nice to not have to deal with them with this massive project with the trading pack. So let's talk about the trading pack. The biggest project of my life, the biggest project, not just of comics, but of my entire life. I put more money into this than I put down on my house. And the reason for that is that, you know, I have a lot of confidence in it. I think this is a really cool product. And I would say I'm like 95% sure that it's going to sell out pre-sale exclusively through my website. It's limited to the 5,000 packs, and that it's going to sell in the aftermarket for a premium. And the reason I think that is just because it's such a cool product. If you look at these Whatnot packs, which this was modeled after, the Whatnot packs are currently selling for $200 to $300, sometimes over $300 just for one pack. And look at this, the 3-pack sold for $1,000, all of these in December. And so this is well after release. These ones are just for the foils. Okay, my packs include chances at the holy grails of Silver Age comics and more. So I think for $65, which is my pre-sale purchase price, I just don't see a situation where this doesn't sell out. Now, this is the first day, the day that you're watching this, that pre-sales are live. So it's when the rubber really meets the road. But I will say that it's very different for a retailer like me to do it than for Whatnot to do it. I'm the first retailer to ever do a comic book trading pack besides Whatnot, but I don't consider them a retailer. They're in a different category because Whatnot has a multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal with Marvel. They don't even talk to the same representatives that local comic shops and online shops do for store exclusives. They have a different licensing department that they talk to for Marvel. So that's why they're able to do special printings. Like the Whatnot 24 pack, they're special printings. They're not first prints. They printed them especially for Whatnot because they get special treatment because they have this huge deal and they're just a different category. So for a dealer like me to do it, it took a lot of money, well over $200,000 invested into it, not to mention the time and the headspace that's been invested in this. At least I don't get any special treatment from Marvel. They're like, this is our minimum print counts and you have to do this. So if you want to limit it to 26 copies, you're going to have to destroy them and you're free to do whatever you want, but you have to order this amount. And we'll get back to that more here in just a second. We're going to go over all the details. But yeah, I had to rent a 3-bedroom townhouse down the road from my house, which alone cost me like $8,000 or $9,000 because I had to rent it for 3 months because Whatnot was able to do their special printings. I'm sure they got all the books all at once, special printings, but I have to wait for first prints. I have to wait for announcements and get those exclusives. And I didn't want it to be just like any run-of-the-mill random issue of some current title. I wanted it to be a highly collectible title like New Champions #1 with first appearances, Red Hulk #1, which is just going to be, you know, with the movie coming out, it's going to be, you know, one of the big FOMO books of the year. So highly collectible books that I wanted to put in there. And it was really stressful having to commit to these things before I knew if I could even get 5 variants, So like at one point I had 3 variants confirmed, and I invested and paid Marvel like over $100,000, and I didn't even know if I was going to be able to get other cool variants. Finally, it all came together. It was incredibly difficult to secure these artists. I'm talking hundreds of rejection emails, hundreds of emails to Marvel saying, what about this title with this artist? Sorry, not available. What about this title with this artist? Sorry, no. Like literally over 100 times. And then finally being able to secure some of the most amazing artists, some of my favorite artists, Ivan Tao, Eniak Lee, David Mack. So we're doing it 100% in-house. I'm 100% in control of the production process of this thing. I just could not imagine doing this where somebody else was preparing the packs or something like that. So, I had to find a special company that was able to print the COAs and have them individually numbered, printed on the COA. So that was one company. I had to find another company to do the packs. The packs alone are going to cost me like somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. And it's a really cool company and a really cool pack, really high quality. And I'm going to, load all of them myself. And I've hired some extra help for this, but load them all in-house and then seal it with a heat sealer in-house. I won't go over the grand prizes again, because we've already gone through all that, and you know what's inside the packs: 3 unreleased first print Marvel Bryce Comics exclusive. Every single one is bagged and boarded with a premium bag, individually numbered COA, 20 golden tickets. And so there are 25 total variants to collect. I think we already went over all of this. You can go and look at all of, what's in it and stuff at brycecomics.com, see the actual art and everything like that. Some incredible art by Eniak Lee and Ivan Tao and more. Odds of winning. So the pull rates here, every single pack will have at least 1 trade dress and at least 1 virgin. And then 1 in 3.3 packs will have a virgin limited to 300. And there's different types. One of them's called like a midnight virgin. One of them's called illuminated. So that's why it says unique style. So 1 in 3.3 packs will have a variant limited to 300. 1 in 5.71 will have one limited to 175. And 1 in 40 packs will have a variant limited to 26 copies. So 25 of the copies are going to go in the packs. There's 5,000 packs. 25 of each one comes out to a 1 in 40 chance that you get the rarest variant. And then I'm keeping 1 of each. So the print run, they're limited to 26. 25 of each are going into the pack. I love rare modern comics, especially when they have my face on the back of the cover. So I'm going to keep 1 of each of the rarest. Golden ticket is a 1 in 250 chance at getting a golden ticket. Because there's 20 and 5,000 packs, comes to 1 in 250, including that Amazing Fantasy 15 valued at $14,000. So here's how the golden tickets are going to work. First of all, follow me on Instagram if you're not already. Every time somebody redeems a golden ticket, I'm going to make a post about it on Instagram. It's at Bryce Comics on Instagram. So the golden tickets will be randomly inserted into the packs at 1 in 250 odd. So it's going to be, you get a golden ticket, you get a golden ticket. I'm going to evenly or randomly make it so it's totally fair, and the pull rate's 1 in 250. So the reason I'm doing them sealed in the packs as golden tickets instead of using random.org like I've done with past mystery boxes, because I could have done it where your order number is your entry number and then pulled the winners on random.org. But that completely takes the fun out of it, because you know who the winner is. I mean, you would know before you even open the pack if you won or not. So there's just no way to do random.org with this. It has to be sealed inside the pack. And then, of course, resale value for the pack is going to be totally affected by that. If everybody knew it's like, oh yeah, there's no golden tickets in there, then the resale value is going to just get completely trashed. So I think it's just the most fun way to do it is have them sealed in the pack. So the golden tickets will be placed in between the comics. So there's 3 comics in each pack. It's going to be 2 on one side, 1 on the other, and then facing each other. So there's less risk of damage, and the golden ticket will be inside. So you can't feel the pack for anything. Also, every pack is going to have a variant checklist. So there's 25 variants to collect. There's going to be a variant checklist that's about the same size as the golden ticket. For the golden ticket winning ones, I'm going to take that variant checklist out. So if somebody does a CT scanner or something, and I don't even know how scanning works. Again, it's not my responsibility to, go this far into detail, but it does matter to me. So at least the you won't be able to scan it and say, oh, there's, you know, a golden ticket in there, because it's going to be about the same size as the variant checklist, and it'll just be one. So just little things that I've thought about to try to make it, you know, as fun as possible, as legit as possible. And so the golden tickets have a scratch off in the center. I get to write on the center, and then I put a little scratch off thing over it. So you scratch. I'm going to have two sections. It's going to be a circle. The top is going to say scratch here to reveal your prize, and the bottom is going to say code, don't reveal. So there's going to be a unique code, and it'll be really clear. Like if you're scratching this live on Whatnot or on Instagram, or you win it and you post on Instagram, don't post your code. I have other secret measures in place to verify these things other than just the code. So it's not just the code. I'm gonna have all the redemption details right there in the golden ticket. It'll be really obvious. But the point is, just don't reveal your code. I just don't want somebody to try to make a fake golden ticket. And with all the measures that I've took, it's not going to be humanly possible to do that. All right, the expected ship date is about a 6-week pre-sale if everything goes according to plan. The only thing that can possibly affect that is like a delay on the last variant, which is Red Hulk #1 from Marvel. But so far, it's on track to be delivered well before the ship date, and that March 1st date gives me plenty of time to try to get everything out in one day. I want to try to have one pickup with a semi-truck and get them all out at once. But, you know, there's some things out of my control that might delay it. How can you offer such low print counts for Marvel? So as I stated earlier, a retailer like me gets no special treatment from Marvel. I can't say, hey, can I get one limited to 26 copies? They're like, no, our minimum is 3,000 trade and 1,000 virgin. So in order to get it limited down to 26, I have to destroy the remaining copies. So anything above the stated print count on the COA is going to be destroyed. And this time I'm hiring a document shredding company. They're going to come on site and shred the documents on site and give me a certificate of destruction. And then they're going to be recycled into other printed material like magazines and comic books. So one way to do this is I could destroy them all myself, get a big dumpster and fill it with hose with water and grape juice and fish sauce or whatever, and just totally destroy them and send them to the landfill. That would be the cheaper option. But I went with this document shredding company because I don't want to be a scourge on the environment. I mean, we are in the hobby of collecting printed material, so there's that. At least with this way, I get a certificate of destruction, I get to see them destroyed, and they're recycled. So it takes that waste element out of limiting stuff down to this. One thing that was really irritating was I reached out to Marvel and asked, like, could I pay you for the required print run, pay for the 3,000, 1,000, and have you only send me what I need? And they said, no, we can't do that. We have to print all of it. It doesn't make any sense. They would have saved tons of money on printing and shipping if I would have paid the same amount, and yet they would have to print and ship less, but they weren't willing to do it. So I'm hoping that they change that, you know, because then it would be less money for me too, because then I wouldn't have to hire the shredding company. You know, it would just be limited from Marvel. That's how the limited factor is being handled on this pack. As far as like people weighing packs, that's been like an issue in the past. It won't do any good to weigh these packs. The weights are going to be all over the place. Each comic weighs a little bit differently. There's a random selection of those to make up the three. At one point I ran out of bags and boards and had to use actual Mylar, which weighs more, and it's not for special issues like some of the trade dress. There's a big chunk of trade dress that just have Mylar, and there's a big chunk of the rare ones that have Mylar. So it will make no difference to weigh these. The weights are going to be all over the place. First things first, we need to just see how pre-sales go. If this is a complete flop, it'll be a big learning lesson. You know, maybe I should have seen how pre-sales went first before I did this video. If it's a complete success, people are going to ask, when's the next one? And the answer is, I don't know. We're going to start with this first. There's a couple variables I'm concerned about doing this again. And we'll talk about all of that more in videos to come once we see how this whole thing pans out. Once again, if you do decide to buy them in the aftermarket, make sure it's from a trusted seller. The only way I can guarantee it's unfudged, legitimate, is if you buy them pre-sale through my website. Pre-sales are available now at brycecomics.com for only $64.99. Thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.